right, welcome to our debut podcast of Heat Check, man. The Heat Check podcast where we diving into basketball news. At this time of year, it's going to be NBA news because there's a lot going on with the NBA. We got NBA free agency. We got live updates. We're going to talk about certain players that could be on the move, certain players re-signing with their former teams or their current teams, and we're gonna get into all that and more. I'm your host NYG22, aka Unpopular Opinion Sports, with Big Pat Sports Talk and Coach Ed Gladney from Coach Ed's Amazing World of Sports, and we gonna get into all the news and notes right here on the ABSN network. Be right back after the intro. Let's get it. Heating up here on NBA Heat Check. Let's get it, man. Let's get into it, fellas, man. Your man's, man. Julius Randle, man. Julius Randle. Want to start off with that, man. That news that came out here. 3 years, $100 million, man. Re-ing up with the Timberwolves, Mr. Julius Randle, former New York Knick. New York Knick fans know. But Julius Randle, the Timberwolves were in the Western Conference Finals. And again, this just coming out here recently today. We getting it. We warming up here on Heat Check, man. Julius Randle, man, he was all right in the playoffs. A little bit disappointing, of course, in the in some of the games in the conference finals, man. But I mean, they made the trade with the Knicks. It only makes sense to re-sign this guy because otherwise, you would have, traded Karl-Anthony Towns away for nothing. But I want to get the Knicks fans' perspective on this, man. Starting off, man, with Coach Ed. Yeah, there he is down there, man. Coach, man. Talk to him, man. How you feel about the Timberwolves resigning Julius Randle, and do you think it was a good move? And you could even talk about how much he got. 3 years, $100 million. Not a bad contract. Man. Talk to him.
Well, I mean, of course, it's a good thing for Minnesota because you had to, like you said, you had to re-sign him because you would have traded away Karl-Anthony Towns for nothing, for a rental, basically for 1 year. And that just can't hold. So, re-signing him, it's a good move. He seems to like being out in Minnesota. His family likes being out in Minnesota. So, it's a good usage. Can he play better? Yes, but he's still someone who can help take a little bit of pressure off of Anthony Edwards. But hey, to me, it's still a good move for Minnesota. affordable in this day and age of the way salary caps and the money is being spent. Roughly about 33 mil a year. So, it's not 52 mil, 60 mil like some other players are getting. So, but for what he brings to the table and can bring to the table, it's still a good move, good re-signing. Minnesota still has work to do, but I definitely think it's good for them right now.
Yeah. Want to speak on the Julius Randle signing too. The re-signing to the to Minnesota Timberwolves, they had to do it because they traded Karl Anthony Towns for him. But I want to talk about the player. He's got his money, so he doesn't have to worry about his money anymore. He's got that. They need Julius Randle to be more consistent. Julius Randle, man, he can play inside out. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the pull-up midi. He can play in the post. He can get rebounds. He's a guy that they need to play big alongside of Ant-Man. When Ant-Man is having his struggles and he's not getting to the free throw line, who's that guy they need to step up and, take that role on and be like, okay, I'll put it on my back until, Ant-Man gets his groove back. That's Julius Randle. That's what they brought him there for. They got rid of Karl Anthony Towns because they felt like he wasn't, a strong enough presence. Julius Randle, from the Mamba himself, Kobe, may he rest in peace, said that Julius Randle is a grown man, which he is. Julius Randle gets buckets, but it's just the inconsistency of his play that's not allowing the Timberwolves to take it to the next level, which is championship. That's what they're looking for. Ant-Man, one of the faces of the league, even though he doesn't want it, but he is. He's one of the young players, and he has a game that translates to being the face of the league. And he needs Julius Randle to step up to be that second option, man. Whether it's shooting the threes or getting in the post. I would like to see him be in the post more, because that's when he gets inconsistent. When he starts settling for those 3-point jump shots. When he starts settling for those turnaround deep twos and stuff. Look, when he get in the post, he's a beast, man. Look at him. So I think it was the right move of re-signing Julius Randle. It was the only move they could do. But Julius Randle, and he's underrated. He's an underrated passer. He can facilitate too. He's one of those players that could take over as your number one when your number one is down. And I think it was a great re-signing for them, man. For real.
Yeah, man. They needed to bring him back. Also bringing back Naz Reid. So the Timberwolves definitely getting busy. Keeping their core together. But I want to get into that. All that and much more, man, in the NBA rundown, man. We're going to run down the recent news and notes around the NBA, man, right here on Heat Check. Brand new podcast brought to you by the ABSN. Let's go. Let's get back into it, man. Check it out, man. Jalen Williams, man, re-signed a new 3-year deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is their you know, their dude, man, that was you know, a key part. Well, not that Jalen, but the other one. I believe this is the big man, the center. There is two Jalen Williams on Thunder, but they do bring back Jalen Williams, and again, this is key because the Thunder coming off a championship, you wanna go right into free agency, man. Signing your free agents, bringing back your guys because you are the champs. You know, keep your squad together. You don't need to go out there and get other people's, you know, parts or whatever. You won the chip, you know, so you want to keep that core together. You want to keep that chemistry together. Good move, man. Re-signing Jalen Williams, man. But what are your thoughts on the Thunder? Coming off a chip, man, coming in free agency hot, man, bringing back one of their key guys. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it looks like it was the wrong Jalen Williams, but look, Jalen Williams, that was the shag man, I do believe. He had a shag. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's one of those role players that they're going to keep together. As long as they keep that team together and they allow them to play the way they played last year, allow them to be very physical on defense and getting away with like the, you know, chicken wing elbows, getting to the lane, making those shots. You know, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be a team to be reckoned with, and they're only going to continue to get better because they're going to get experience. They were one of the youngest teams to ever win a championship as far as age average. I think they were right behind that Blazers team, you know, in the early 70s. So I think they're going to have a very, very, very good team moving forward. Shai Alexander, shout out to the year that he had. I think he was the NBA MVP. The finals MVP, won a championship, man. He had one of the great years of any basketball player can have as far as rewards and accomplishments. So this team is very dangerous. We'll see what they do. Can they repeat? You know, they're gonna have to get a lot more mentally stable when they come against teams that can match their physicality and, you know, can move up and down the court and force them to play half-court offense. Is Shai Alexander going to get better in the post? Is he going to be able to hit those jump shots consistently all next year now that they really know what OKC is about? We're going to see, but signing one of their core, you know, players and Jalen Williams, one of their core backup players, that's how they do it. Keep that team together. You're going to have a lot more success, man. Real.
Yeah, man. And don't get it twisted, man. They're gonna be bringing back this Jalen Williams too, as well as Shea, as well as the big fella. What's my man's name?
Man,
Chet. Yeah, Chet. You know what I'm saying? So, this is just the start. And that's why I wanted to kind of touch on the Thunder. But, Coach, what's your thoughts, man, on the OKC Thunder, man? Re-signing one of their key guys.
I mean, it's important. He's a culture player. I mean, you know, looking at his stats from last year, 5.9 points a game, 5.1 rebounds. 5.6 rebounds per game. So he's important. You know, he's an important component to what they do. Fits their system, plays defense, does a lot of the dirty work. You know, good size at 6'9" and 240. And he's young, like you said. This is his third year, so he just completed his third year. So definitely what's needed for them to continue and hopefully, in their eyes, try and win another championship. So you know, so that, I mean, because you haven't had one back-to-back championships. And going on 8 years now, so it's been a
while. It's been a while.
Yeah, so.
It hasn't been like that with the league here. You know, because you remember the Bulls, the Lakers. You used to have those repeat champions. You know, even, you know, teams like the Spurs, you know, who would win every other year or something like that. But yeah, you had, you know, teams that were consistent. Not only during the regular season, but in the playoffs, and consistently won the championship, which, you know, now the league is shifting. Speaking of shifting, man, I do want to shift gears here and talk a little bit about your man's Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball, your man's Pat, getting traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, think about that for a minute, though. Think about that, though. Lonzo Ball going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who do the Cavaliers have? Donovan Mitchell and Garland. Now you add Lonzo Ball into the mix. If he could be in the mix, if he could actually play. And that's been the problem, but I want to let the resident Bulls fan speak on this, man. Mr. Pat, talk to us about Lonzo Ball, man, and talk about this trade here, man. Him going to Cleveland, man, for Isaac Okoro.
First and foremost, as a Bulls fan, kind of sad that he didn't pan out. He continued to get hurt because when he played, he was actually kind of a force, man. He's a pure point guard. He's a pure point guard. That's what the big baller trained him to be. Shout out to LeVar Ball and his health. He lost his leg, and but as far as his sons, he trained Lonzo Ball to be a point guard. Period. Point blank. Period. And to serve the Cavaliers, he might be, best served coming off the bench and, leading that second unit as a pure point guard. And he got his shot better, got his form better on his shot. He's very good defensively. The only thing knock on Lonzo Ball is his health, man. He can actually turn out to be a very key piece to that Cavaliers team that needed some leadership last year when they were struggling in the playoffs. Looks like they just broke down in the playoffs against the Pacers, which was crazy because during the whole season they were just on point. But if you can get somebody like Lonzo Ball coming off the bench and rallying the troops, and heck, he might even get some starting minutes over Garland and let Donovan Mitchell play that too. Let him play the one. So we'll see what Lonzo Ball does, man. Unfortunately, it didn't work out here with the Bulls. The Bulls haven't got a lot for their players in these trades, either with Zach LaVine, DeRozan, or Lonzo Ball, man. Like, it's been crazy. Now they're talking about trading Kobe White too. So I don't know what my Bulls are doing, but besides losing players and having people hurt. But Lonzo Ball can be a very, very good player for your team if he can stay healthy.
I want to get your perspective, Coach, man. Talk to him a little bit about, from the Cleveland Cavs side of it and how Lonzo Ball could fit in with a guy like guys like Garland and Donovan Mitchell.
I mean, he could fit in very well over there. Coming in, whether he's a third guard in your starting lineup or he's coming off the bench. You can definitely give them something. I mean, you gave up Okoro, so offensively, I think he definitely brings more to the table than Okoro. Okoro was extremely inconsistent. Like Pat said, the biggest thing with him is his availability. Now if you can get him to, maybe you get him to come off the bench, and that extends his career and his playing lengths, where he's not getting banged up as consistently. Also the other factor is, him coming off the bench, he's not going up against the starters all the time. So that can also help him. And, he's going up against the second units where, he would be more effective and more efficient as a playmaker, because that's one of the biggest things. I think he's a very good playmaker, and he does well in helping his other teammates be productive or getting them in the right position to make plays on the basket.
Yeah, man. As you can see right there, man, he is a pretty good playmaker, man. Kid's got skills, passing, man. Definitely a true point guard. But go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing about Lonzo Ball to the Cavaliers. You know what he brings to that team? Pace. He can speed up the pace for that team with that second unit against teams like the Pacers, the things that want to play that pace game. He can come off the bench and play the pace game with teams like that, like the Pacers. And ball movement. You preach this all the time, NYG, ball movement. He's one of those guys that's a taller point guard that you like. He's 6'5", maybe 6'6". Can pass that ball around. And, he can get people involved in the game. And, he can change momentum for your team. He can come and hit at some corner threes. He can come and, get a couple assists and get somebody a big dunk or somebody like that and pass it off. And, he could play very well at the three with those two guards that they already have there, like Coach said. And you could put him at the three, and now you got ball movement and speed on the court.
Yeah, play a small lineup.
Yeah, you take Mobley and put him on the bench and put Lonzo Ball at the three, and let's play a fast man's game. Let's get back into this game. Let's pick up the pace. They're not very good at half court, so he could be that guy on the wing that could play defense to where he can make somebody play half court offense. You know what I'm saying? So he could be dangerous for this team. He just gotta stay healthy, bro. He just has to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's been the problem with Lonzo Ball. But Lonzo Ball's former team, the Los Angeles Lakers, making a move, man, and their star LeBron James, Mr. LeBron James. Yeah, man. Exercises, player option. The NBA players, man. They got it good, man. They could basically, hey, I want to play for you, or I'm out. See you. These player options, these team options are so key in the NBA. And the best players get the player options. He's one of them. He gets the player option going into $52.6 million. LeBron coming back to the Lakers. Most everybody knew this was going to happen. But what I do want to talk about is what this means for the Lakers. Their franchise is at a weird place to me. Because you got Luka there. You made the trade with the Mavericks. Everybody celebrated it. But then LeBron is still there. And the Suns there. And then you got JJ Redick coaching. And it doesn't seem like it's really set up for them to really win at the level that they expect, which is championship level. It kind of feels like they're just pedaling along until he's gone, meaning LeBron, because what else are you going to do now around this team? How are you going to build this team out? But y'all speak on it, man. What this means for the Lakers, man, LeBron opting in. Because everybody knew this was an expected move. It's not no breaking news, anything like that.
I think this whole LeBron situation hurts them more than it helps them, to be honest with you. Because when you traded for Luka, now you have two dudes that are ball dominant. You see what I'm saying? LeBron James is not going to play, off the ball, and neither is Luka. Neither one of those guys are going to play off the ball. So what are you going to do? You're going to let this dude keep controlling whatever he wants to do? I know it's LeBron James, but, things move along, man. All the greats have had to go into greener pastures, and find out what they want to do after their careers. But are you going to continue to let LeBron, decide what he wants to do with your franchise? While you have people like Dalton Knecht that can play, like people like Austin Reeves that can play. He denied a contract because he doesn't know what his future is as long as LeBron is there. And, he may want to be on a team that allows him a more prominent role. Like, I should be the number two. I could be a number two option, but I'm never going to get that while this man is here doing whatever he wants to do.
Right.
And then if you lose somebody like a Dalton Knecht, man, that's crazy because they got a steal in that kid. I don't know how he wound up on the Lakers, but he is. And then Luka, are you going to suppress what he does to satisfy LeBron? Because I think he's a better ball guy than LeBron at this point in his career, and the offense should be ran through him. you know. So is LeBron willing to play second fiddle? I don't know if his ego allows him to do that. He still wants to shoot threes. He still wants to act like he has a bag, which he doesn't. He doesn't want to get in the post, which he can, but he doesn't go on the post. So yeah, keep on going to get their logo threes or whatever they call them. Let him try to bull his way to the basket. Let him to go down there and miss a shot, not go back on defense, and just let them scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll be good at certain points of the season. When it comes to the playoffs, what you gonna do? Who's gonna control the ball? Because Luka's the same way. If Luka don't have the ball over there, he's just gonna stand there. And does Luka play defense? No, neither does LeBron. He doesn't play defense like that no more. So, and he's taking up a major amount of cap room. So guys like Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect comes up. What about Hachimura? You know, what about Hayes? And when he comes off the bench, does that contract doesn't allow you to get a legit big man again because you traded Anthony Davis to get Luka.
To your point, Dorian Finney-Smith declined his player option, as well as the aforementioned Austin Reeves. So what you're saying is actually playing out in real time now as players start to decline their player options with the Los Angeles Lakers, looking obviously for more money out there in free agency. And for the Lakers, you know, we'll talk about them later when we talk about the free agency period. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get guys in there, man. But I want to get Coach's perspective, man. You've been watching this team for a long time, Coach, man. What's your thoughts, man, on the future of the Los Angeles Lakers?
This contract restricts them immensely for this year, so it's not really much they can do, in my opinion, especially with the way the salary caps, the tax penalties, and all that come into play. Where you're going to be, and like you said, you guys just hit the nail on the head. Players are, declining their contracts, their options, because you know what? They don't know what's going on with LeBron. And $52 million. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, I spoke to you guys earlier about, over his 23-year career, he's made over $500 million. $500 million, man. I mean, look, I don't begrudge anyone from it,
right?
Yeah. Look, I don't begrudge anybody, making as much money as possible. If you can, you can. But when you think about it too, 52 mil, maybe you could have, declined to renegotiate it, extended, another year, and then help the team a little bit more. That's the biggest thing. You got your teammates, saying, I'm out. I don't know what's going on. And you know what? I'm better suited to probably go somewhere else, possibly, because I don't know what's going on here. And, as teams are finding out, this restriction, the cap and the tax penalties are restricting teams. So I think this hurts them immensely, man.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. There is some questions with the Los Angeles Lakers in that franchise. And speaking of LA, how about the Clippers, man? The Clippers bringing back their star, Mr. James Harden. James Harden still produces, but James Harden's never really been a guy that you can win with at a high level, and again, the Clippers are kind of in that mode of needing James Harden, because the Clippers need players, they're trying to compete, but I just don't know at what level you're going to be able to compete at with guys like James Harden, and then you got Kawhi, one nosebleed away from the IR. And it's just, I don't know, and Kawhi's a good player, man. They're good players. just, and specifically in Harden's case, because he's never won, I don't think you can win with a guy like that, you know. And then you got Ty Lue, who's a good coach, but this team just don't fit. It don't fit the bill, in my unpopular opinion, which might not be an unpopular opinion because the evidence is there. The Clippers don't do nothing, you know. NBA Finals, championships, where are they at? And you have players, good coaches churning through that organization, you know, and nothing to show for it. You are always in the shadow of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I don't think James Harden and the Lakers ain't even been doing nothing recently. But I don't think James Harden is going to move the needle. You know, it's just more the same with the Clippers. And you can depend on them to disappoint you. That's the team. This team is the definition of disappointment because they look good when you open up the book and open up the paper. Man, this is a pretty good deal right here. And then, you know, it turned out the way it turned out, you know, you just like, dang, it had so much potential, but just didn't work out. That's every season with the LA Clippers. Every season. But y'all got it.
I'm gonna give you a list of James Harden. You got Kevin Durant twice, Russell Westbrook twice, Joel Embiid, Chris Paul, Paul George. The list goes on and on and on. Kawhi Leonard, the players that this man has played with, and there's no success.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Kyrie Irving. You know, it's been a list of major players that this guy has played with, and he's never even made a finals, besides that one time with the OKC Thunder when they were young. But other than that, this guy's just not a championship caliber player to me, bro. Like, his style of play is just not championship caliber, man. I don't know what it is, man, because it's not like he's trash. Like, he gets it done. It's just when it's come the clutch time to like lead your team.
That's what it is. It's clutch time.
Yeah, it's just not
clutch time, and it's the style of play, like you said. Yeah. It's too ball dominant. You know, he could never fit in with a OKC Thunder team, the team they got now. Yeah, he could never fit in with an Indiana Pacers team. He can't fit in with those type of teams. Yeah. That's why he always paired along another ball dominant superstar. And that's why it don't never work.
You know, Chris Paul was another one. I don't know, man. This dude, I think he's just been, you know, finessing the league as far as getting big contracts. He's getting a huge contract after huge contract. I'm quite sure he's close to that $500 million mark too in contracts. You know,
yeah,
so
man. But
this
coach, get in there, man.
Yeah, it's not a good thing, man. It's not a good thing, bro.
On Mr. Harden.
Congratulations on making your money. Again, like I said, I don't begrudge anyone for making their money. You know, so if I was in the same position, I'd make as much money as possible too. So in that regard, but in terms of the game, you guys said a mouthful. It's not much I need to really add on to it. You know, so only time will tell. You got it.
Yeah, man. Time will tell, man. Time will tell on the Jazz, man. The Jazz trading Colin Sexton and a 2020-30 second round pick to the Hornets for Yusuf Nurkic. Quick thoughts on this move, fellas.
Yeah, it doesn't move the needle either way for either team. Both those teams, man, this is whatever with that move, man. We'll see what they do with that move, but nah, that doesn't move the needle either way for me.
Coach,
it leaves me wondering: Are you clearing out Colin Sexton from manipulating and dominating the basketball because of Ace Bailey? You know, do you open up the opportunities for him to really develop his game, and you don't have somebody stagnating it? So Just sitting here thinking about it, I was just like, you know what? Maybe that's a small piece of what Danny Ainge is trying to do. Clear out anyone who's going to get in the way of trying to develop this young player. And I mean, people have tried to poo-poo drafting him, but he's not going to show up. And guess what? Didn't he just show up in Utah? Yes, he did. So, and yes, this is my Rutgers bias coming out. I will admit that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the move, though, honestly, I mean, it leaves me saying, okay, wait a minute. Did they clear that out because, Ace Bailey can probably, you don't want to have somebody trying to take away from his growth and his potential. So, but you got to go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. That's a very good point. Yeah. Get Colin out of here. Yeah, because he's in the way. He's in the way. Bobby Portis apparently is not in the way of the Milwaukee Bucks because they want him back, bringing him back on a 3-year, $44 million contract with a player option. So hooking your man Bobby, hooking him up with a nice little deal there, returning to the Bucks, man. Quick thoughts, man, on the Bobby Portis move.
Good re-sign. He's a valuable big man. He's gonna get rebounds. He's gonna bang down there in the post. He can hit some open threes for you if you allow him to sit, wide open at the 3-point game. He can hurt you in that aspect as well. And Bobby Portis is just a dog. He's one of those guys that's gonna be in the league. He's gonna be the bully if you need him to be the bully. He'll be the goon if you need him to be the goon. He'll be a leader if you need him to be a leader. He's one of those guys that if he's on a team that's built correctly, he could be one of those glue guys for your team. So that was a good re-sign by the Milwaukee Bucks, especially if you want to keep, the Greek Freak around. That's somebody that he likes playing with for sure.
Yeah, man. Thoughts, Coach?
Pat just said what I was going to say. All of that is just so they can keep the Greek Freak. That's what I look at it, and that's how I feel it's about. And you know what? You got to do what you got to do to keep the Greek Freak. Portis fits into their culture, won a championship with them. Like Pat said, he's a dog. He's a former Knick, and I loved him when he was with the Knicks. And guess what? He brought that same mindset over to Milwaukee, and it's taken off from there. So great fit for them. So.
All right, man. This one's interesting because Malik Beasley, Pistons guard, actually a free agent, and we're touching on this because there's some things coming out where he's being investigated now for gambling related to NBA games and prop bets. Now, fellas, the leagues are promoting this betting, this gambling, this MGM bets, ESPN bets, mama bets, papa bets, kids bets. But the players, are obviously restricted from that. Now,
Cunningham, final seconds.
Beasley, in his case, going into free agency now, and the Pistons, looking to re-sign him. Now you got this over your head, and it's like, woo-wee, not good timing at all, But I'm wondering if this is the start of something bigger, and maybe we could touch on this on another show, and get more in depth into it, man. But this is very, very interesting, man. I hope it works out for Malik Beasley. Like, I don't wish anything wrong or anything bad to happen. I hope this is just a misunderstanding, whatever, it brushes over, whatever, man. But this is very interesting to me, man, because of the level that sports betting has grown over these last few years. And now you get in these instances of players, coaches, officials, putting a couple dollars on red, right? But tell me how this affects the Pistons. This is one of their key free agents, and then B, the game overall. Y'all go ahead and talk.
I think he has more effect on the game overall than the actual Pistons. I believe his production and his level of play can be, replaced with the Detroit Pistons. But as far as he was all right. He hit some open threes. He played some pretty good defense, but it's not like they can't get another 3D guy come over there with the Pistons. Obviously, he wasn't a great leader. He's out there gambling, and who knows? He looked kind of weird in some pivotal moments for the Pistons, as you see right there, just losing the ball. And, they have some clips of them playing some suspect defense, letting somebody just go right past them. So I think it's going to have a more effect on the NBA as far as, they're going to be paying a closer attention to these players now. Like, bro, you not this bummy. Why are you playing so bummy today? Are you betting too? So, a lot of investigations are going to start happening. This is one of the first instances where an actual player looks like that one referee, Donahue or whatever his name was. He was the first one to do that. So we'll see, man. But as far as the Pistons, I don't think they're going to miss Malik Beasley. Like, our season's over because Malik Beasley got caught doing some stupid stuff. But it's more effect on the NBA and how the NBA is looked. It's a stain on the NBA. You got players out here throwing games. That's what they're going to say. Who knows what it was? He could have just been on DraftKings doing something. Making a couple of bets on DraftKings or something. But I don't know, Coach. What you think about it?
Reading an article on ESPN, and he's projected to go 3 years, $45 million, $15 million a year. You have to know. You have your agents and you have people in your camp that are letting you know this throughout the year. Play well, and you can, capitalize. I mean, he helped them go from one of the worst three-point shooting teams to one of the better ones. But now you put yourself in a position where Detroit can say, well, we can create up to $17 million in cap space if we don't sign him and a couple other free agents. Well, Malik Beasley, you were going to cost us $45 million. Well, you just made it easy. Like Pat said, we can go out there and probably find somebody else who can do what you can do as well as play better defense than you. So to go out there and be betting on NBA games, among other things, is just, it really baffles me where guys who are playing the sport are doing this and putting themselves in a position to look bad, to make the league look bad overall, and you're costing yourself, because I do believe he's probably going to be let go and not re-signed, and you just cost yourself $45 million. I don't know about you, but I ain't gambling for 45, right? 3 years, $45 million just to bet on some games that, I may have made a couple of $1,000. But you throwing away millions of dollars? I mean, that's just me. That's just me. So you got it, man. Yeah.
It's just plain dumb.
Yeah, man. Averaged 16 points a game last year. Shot over 40% from 3-point from 3-point land. So, I mean, he was a marginal player, but I mean, I think the Pistons could have used this guy. Obviously, not if he's throwing games, but his talent, obviously will be missed on this team, man. And we're gonna get into free agency here in just a second, but I think this is big for the Pistons as well as the league. Obviously, the bigger picture, is the gambling and what's going on. But again, that will probably be for another show. But let's get into this free agency thing, fellas, and let's talk a little bit about some of the upcoming free agents and some of the teams, that need to make some moves, and what are some of these teams doing, and what are some of these free agents going to be doing as we get into it here, man. But I personally, I'm gonna be selfish here and start off with the Brooklyn Nets, who have $35 million in cap room. If you want a team that has the money or the bread, we got the bread, bro. We got the bread to spend, but not necessarily a top destination for a lot of guys that's looking to win championships and do other things in their career. That being said, again, man, the Nets, with the most cap space in the league, do have one of the top names on my list, and that's Mr. Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, a restricted free agent for the Brooklyn Nets. All signs point to him returning, but stranger things have happened. I'm feeling, though, like Cam Thomas, man, and the Nets can make some moves here, but they got to re-sign Cam Thomas first. That is one of my top free agents that is out there, restricted free agent, meaning the Nets can match any offer. I believe that's what that means. Coach, you're a little more versed in that, but I believe he is a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
So
I believe it's you can match it, or you can match it or get draft picks if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So, but Cam Thomas, one of the top free agent guards out there, is a bucket getter. I do expect him to be back with the Brooklyn Nets, but the Brooklyn Nets did draft like 100 guards in the draft. Really, it was 3, because Powell can be a wing, a 2 or 3. But they drafted 3 guards, and but Cam Thomas can't none of them score like Cam Thomas. So, but thoughts on Cam Thomas, man, as we kick this thing off with my man's Cam from right here down the street in Portsmouth. Wow.
Yeah, I think the Nets should resign Cam Thomas, especially with the draft you guys just had, where you got some ball handlers there now. Pause that that Cam Thomas doesn't have to be the primary ball handler and the top scorer. And as you can see here, Cam Thomas, he can put that thing up, man. He can put the ball in the basket, man, at any given time. So if you got some facilitators out there, you let Cam Thomas spot up, get to his shots, get to his spots, hit those jumpers. Yeah, you got to resign him, because I don't know if one of those guys could develop into the face of the Nets, but right now he's the face of your franchise. So you got to resign him and, allow him to do his thing, put some guys out there that can move the ball. 6'9" Igor is going to be the point guard out there, man. You got the guy that you got that was crying in the draft. He was like, leave him there, but he was actually pretty doggone good.
Yeah, Danny Wolf. Yeah, Danny Wolf.
You know what I'm saying? And so you stop that, that ISO ball that Cam Thomas loves to play. Let him ISO when he's hot. But when he's not hot, now you don't have to have him ISO when he's not hot, when he's not hitting those shots. You can get the ball. You can move the ball around. Get him to some shooters. Get some rebounding out there. Start building a legit team, man. But bringing him back is essential, man.
Thoughts on Cam Thomas, Coach, man, and possibly going back to the Nets. And is it the right move for the Nets to even bring him back? Or you think they should go in a different direction?
Well, right now, he's one of your most important scoring options. So you need that right now in your system. He's already had a year under your new head coach, so he's familiar with him and he knows what he can do to help take his game to another level. So, especially if you drafted all these other guards, especially lead guards, who can take some of the pressure off of him being a lead guard, and he can just focus on his scoring. So, I think it's important for him to be back with the Nets and, continue to build on what you guys have been trying to do over there. And hopefully you can add on to the pride of New York City and the basketball that's playing here in the best basketball area in the world.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Totally agree with you there. But man, we touched on some of the guys that re-signed, but there's still some players out there. There are still some players out there. I do want to touch on a guy in my man Pat's neighborhood, man, Chi-Town, man, Mr. Josh Giddey, man. What's going on over there with Josh Giddey and the Bulls? Josh Giddey is on my list as top free agents out there, man. Kid can play, man. But he's struggling to find a home, Josh. What's going on with Josh, man? Talk to me, Pat. What's going on with Josh Giddey and his free agency, man? What's up?
Josh Giddey is just one of those players, man, that he's going to have to find a home where he's not a player that you're totally dependent on. You know what I'm saying? As being one of those guys that can take you over the top. He needs to be like, if he was on the Oklahoma City Thunder, he could be on that bench, come in, give you 15 to 20 good minutes and, let him be on his way. Like, I would like to see him in an Alex Caruso type role for a team. Come in, give you some defense, hit some threes at times, change the pace of the game, come in and make some plays.
Josh Giddey play at before, though?
Yeah, but not the way this Thunder team is built now. You know what I'm saying? He was there when they were just getting started. And, they traded him away to the Bulls. The Bulls try to, put him as a feature player.
That's how they got Caruso.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. They knew what they wanted. And so now Josh Giddey's going to have to, find himself a role on a team. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be a number one option. I'm not going to be a dude you can depend on, put up 15 to 20 points a night. I'm basically be a try-hard type player. The guys that they call try-hards, those 3-and-D type players. Hit you some threes, get out there, get the crowd hype, go out there, play some good defense, make some good sound decisions with the basketball, get some steals, get a couple of blocks, some rebounds, and go sit on the bench and let the guys put the game home for you. That's what Caruso does. That's what he should be doing.
Man. Josh Giddey, 14.6 points, 8.1 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.2 steals, on 46% from the field, 37 from three. So, not bad numbers for Mr. Giddey. But Coach, what's your thoughts on Josh Giddey and who you think he could possibly sign with?
I really am not too versed on who would be a good fit for him. Personally speaking, I think he should stay in Chicago. Like Pat said, develop a specific role and play that role. Once he left Oklahoma City, it opened up their team because I honestly believe he was almost similar to Chet Holmgren in some regards. They were almost very similar. Holmgren was probably a better defender than he is, but it just seemed like they were pretty much the same. And then he goes to Chicago, and I think that, especially now that they, traded Lonzo Ball, there's the opportunity for him and, Kobe White to develop into a nice 1-2 type of player talent. So, but again, like Pat said, find your role, get your role and then take it from there and develop and harness it and grow. So
yeah, man, no doubt there, man. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Josh Giddey. Now another guy that's out there that has that could possibly get a deal here is Santiago Aldama, forward, down there with the Grizzlies, man. Average 12 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 48 from the field, 36 from three. And again, man, one of those players that a team can add as a role player, that can contribute, because this is what we're talking about now. This free agency class is not what it once was. NBA free agency is not what it once was, because these stars usually go back to the teams that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now, because you got OKCs and you got Indiana Pacers, you got teams rising that are building solid teams like the Rockets, like the Detroit Pistons, the Orlando Magic, solid foundations, but not a bunch of stars. Star power is diminishing a little bit in the NBA. So a guy like this, though, can be a solid role player. Like I said, get you some rebounds, can hit the three, and he's 7 foot. It's a big man's game, man. Y'all like talking about the big man. Talk to me about Mr. Aldama, man. What can he bring to a team?
He can bring 7 foot with a huge wingspan. That's what he can bring. And he can bring you
24 years old too.
Yeah,
young.
He brings youth. He brings you 12 points, 6.4 rebounds a game. That's what he does. He could be a good role player for you, or come in and give you some starts if you don't have a legitimate big man there on your team before you get a Santi. I think Santi can develop into more of a better post player. He definitely can shoot the three. He likes doing that. But Santi, if you're bringing him to your team to be the guy, then you're wrong. I think he's a very good role player. And 7 foot is 7 foot, man. You can do some things at 7 foot. You can get some block shots. And like I said, these guys, this free agency, are a bunch of guys that need to carve out a role for themselves on whatever team they go to. But Santi's not a bad player, and I think he can actually be pretty good if given a legit shot.
Coach, what's your thoughts, man, on the big man from Memphis?
I mean, looking up his stats and looking at what he brings to the table, you guys basically hit it on the head. You're a young developing player. He's appeared in 170 games, 55 starts for Memphis. Averaging 8.7, 4.8 rebounds. So, he's a guy who, is developing. He has good size. So, you can continue to further expand on his game and, fit him into your system, as you go. So.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's crazy, man, because again, man, just looking at this list is just not a lot of it's a lot of low key type players. It's a lot of low key type players. And these are one of these players that, if added to the right team, can probably put you over the top, man. Just a small addition like that, because that's what NBA, like I said, that's where this is going now. That's where this is going. Top guys are going back to their teams, so to speak. Kelly Oubre Jr. returning to the Sixers. We talked about LeBron James. Now, you got Duncan Robinson out there. Duncan Robinson, Miami Heat guard. Duncan Robinson averaged 11 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists last year. 6'7", 215. Forward, played all right for the Heat. I mean, I don't think he's nobody that's, that great of a player, but that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about some of these, I don't want to say lesser names, just, not as well-known names, out there that are going to be, that teams are going to be looking at to try to add, to try to compete and round out their team. Nicholas Batum, who's been around the league for years, declined his player option, so he's out there now. But guys, man, talk to me about some of these free agents, man, that are out there that could possibly get a team like the Pacers, who were in there. Of course, they got Halliburton situation, but take a team like the Timberwolves, who were right there toe-to-toe with the Thunder, take a team like the New York Knicks, who were right there toe-to-toe with the Pacers. I mean, you could, but the Knicks have a path to be one of the better teams in the East next year, given the injuries to Tatum, injuries to Halliburton. We'll see what the Bucks do,
I want to talk about a guy that, that's not going to be talked about in the free agency here as one of the top guys, but a guy that can bring something to your team. And that's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, man, from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He brings height, he brings defense, he brings three-point shooting, and he brings ability to go down low and bang with the big boys. And I think he was a glue person for that Timberwolves team. And let's see if they re-sign him. But I do think he's that guy that could be that pesky 3-and-D guy for a team that needs a glue piece. Somebody like the Timberwolves, who I think need to keep him. What if he went over there? Let's say if the Knicks or somebody could get him. I think that would be a very good guy to have on your team. Hell, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they could use him. The Pacers could use him. So these are the type of guys that don't get a lot of pub because they don't put up a bunch of points. He only had 9.4 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, but he's one of those guys that could give you what you need at that given moment. If you need him to move the ball, he can do that. If you need him to go down there and bang and get rebounds, he could do that. If you need him to put up some threes or some points, he can do that for you. So this is one guy in NBA free agency that I'm very, very interested to see where he goes. If you go to a contender, hey, the Mavericks are a good team out there, Nickeil. You come out there, back up Cooper Flag, do your thing. But this is a guy that nobody's really going to be talking about that I think can make an impact.
And the Mavericks obviously made moves to Kyrie Irving, obviously off the market now. He was, one of the tops, projected to be one of the top free agents, and that's the thing. That's why there's not a lot out there right now, because most of the guys are returning. I want to talk about a guy here though, Miles Turner. Free agent, team just in the championship round, and a lot of us here, all three of us, have been kind of critical of Miles Turner in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and his style of play. But he still is a good player and still a key contributor to that Pacers team, man, that got all the way to the finals. Miles Turner, man. What's out there for Miles Turner, man? What's your thoughts on Miles Turner, man, going into free agency? And who could possibly will he be back with the Pacers, or could he move on? That's a decision, man. A tricky decision right there for Indiana. Talk to me.
I'm gonna let Coach go ahead and start on this one. What you think about Miles Turner and the Pacers? What should they do with their big man?
I think he's going to end up back with Indiana. He's too important to what they're trying to do. I mean, he has 15.6 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Plays some good defense at times. He's a stretch. He's a stretch five. So he'll hit the 3-pointers, pull certain centers out who basically are not able to or not fleet-footed enough to handle someone out there on the wing, and then he can still take it down the lane when necessary. And again, like I said, he can play the defense. He can get the rebounds that you need. Does a lot of the dirty work. Sets good screens, especially for Halliburton. So, do I think he's going to be back with Indiana? Yes. But if he went somewhere else, I mean, he would be, especially on a championship contending team, it would be very important to what they're trying to do. For example, let's say he did somehow end up on a team like Boston. You don't think he would fit well with Boston? He does a lot of what Al Horford would do over there, and even Porzingis. So he's not a slouch. He's not a scrub, as Stephen A. would say. He's definitely somebody who, with the right situation, he'll help that team and go even further. And if he goes back to Indiana, which I think he will, he just fits right into what they're trying to do there. So.
Nah, that's a good point. That is a good point. He definitely fits what Indiana wants to do. I just think they need to put some more defense around him and Siakam. Because them boys ain't playing no defense over there, man.
Well, they play defense in the playoffs, man. You can't.
They're not physical enough in the paint. That's my knock on Miles Turner more than anything, his physicality. But that's not how he played, So I don't think. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Think about what he did against the Knicks in the playoffs, man. He was physical in the paint. He really was. Even with OKC at times, he was physical when necessary. Is he now? The thing is, he's not consistent with it all year round. You're right about that. And that's a fair argument. But he's a big guy, 6'11", 250 pounds, and he will knock people over when need be. So, I mean, it's like you said during the regular season. I think that's probably what it is. He's probably conserving his energy, because he knows come playoff time, he has to step it up.
Conserving?
Yes.
Just to interject for a second, man.
Mm-hmm.
I come from an era where the big man was in the post, man. He's not setting screens going out to the three-point line 70% of his possessions. You see what I'm saying? That's what Miles Turner does. He was a pick-and-roll guy, come shoot the free throw line jumper. You're not Dirk. Dirk could get away with that because Dirk was just a great shooter. You're not a great shooter, bro. Look at his shooting stats in the finals, and then you tell me what he should do and get better at. You're not that guy to just be sitting out there at the three all day and try to hit threes. Get your big butt down there and get physical. And yes, coach, I do agree with you that when he wanted to get physical, he got physical. And that's the disappointing thing about it, because you've shown that you can do it. But if you're talking about conserving energy for what? You're not the guy that they're gonna give the ball down there and clutch time. It's Halliburton. It's people like Naismith. It's Nembhard. No, you get down there, put it in the post, and if they put somebody stupid on you, back them down, get you a quick, easy 2 points. But no, you want to play the pick and roll and sit at the top of the key. You want to play the pick and roll, do pull-up jumpers at 6'11", 7 foot. He looks more 7 foot to me. And it's just weird, man. It's like he should be more dominant, man. Like look at his frame, look at his build. Like, he's lean, but he's still strong. He's still 250, 260. So little guy, look at that little guy, just punish him. And then hit the threes when they trying to double team you down there in the post, and you kicking it out to Naismith, you kicking it out to Halliburton. You know, you're kicking it out to Luigi, the guy that looked like Luigi. He can hit threes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to have the 3-point shot. Quit trying to be cool. That's what I'm getting mad at the NBA. Everybody want to be cool. Everybody want the unlimited bag. Everybody want the step back three, even the 7'4" guys. It's crazy. But Miles Turner is a good player. I do believe he still will be an Indiana Pacer. But if they allow him to leave and go to somebody like Boston, Boston will be back up because they will know how to use his skill set for sure.
Let's talk about Boston for a second. Jaylen Brown, man. Jaylen Brown, I mean, you know, they've got some pieces moved on from Holiday, moved on from Porzingis.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum's hurt. Jaylen Brown is there. Should they reset? Should they trade Brown? Should they keep Brown? Should they redo this team all the way? Or just kind of try to tread water until they get Tatum back?
Well, if you want me to start it off, you keep Jaylen Brown. I don't know why you even want to trade him. You keep that 1-2 punch. You don't split those guys up because of one injury. It's not like they were playing poor or anything. It's not like they weren't championship caliber. It was just an injury, a freak injury that happened to your best player, Jason Tatum. But you keep Jaylen Brown, and the reason why you keep Jaylen Brown, I think this is going to be an important season for that man coming up because now you are the number one option. There's no question about it now. Is it Tatum? Is it Brown? No, it's going to be Brown this season, and they traded away Drew Holiday, so it's going to be the Jaylen Brown show over there in Boston, and now you really get to see what your number 2 option or 1A option is really about. Can he lead a team? Can he be that leader? Can he be that guy they depend on late in the fourth quarter to hit those clutch shots? You know, can he be that guy? You know, so they're gonna have to see exactly what Jaylen Brown is this upcoming season. You still got White there. You know, you still got your other pieces, Pritchard and them coming off the bench. Now it's just going to be more on Jaylen Brown going into the season. And I think this might be a blessing for him because Jaylen Brown develops into a monster. Then you'll have 2 monsters when Jason Tatum gets back, and there could be more rings in their future. But you got to let him go out there and play and let him see what he is on the food chain in the NBA. Is he what he think he is? Or will he find out he's good at math this season? That's exactly what's going to happen to Jaylen Brown this season.
Look, man, to be honest with you, I like the pairing of Tatum and Brown, and they got a chip. So you can't argue that. But again, sometimes you got to make the move before it's, you see what I'm saying? Because, again, you don't know what you're going to get from Tatum coming back. But you kind of locked in. You can't do nothing with that right now because Tatum would be the one I would move on from. It wouldn't be Jaylen Brown. You know, but you can't do that right now because one of them's hurt. So you got to keep them both. But I personally don't necessarily think that this dynamic is going to be long withstanding for the Celtics because you don't know what Tatum's going to be coming back. And you got other teams in the East that are going to be getting better at this time while you're kind of like stagnant sort of, or at a low, at the, you know, down, you know, while you down. You know, you could make some moves. Don't think Jaylen Brown is the move to make, though. I don't. I think they've been making some moves. I don't think Jaylen Brown, but I also don't think that they can keep them two together for long. But go ahead, Coach.
reading this article on the Celtics. They're above the first apron, 7.4 million, so they're over that, but they're below the second apron of 4.5. And, you know, with all the trades, they saved $260 million in salaries plus tax penalties. But one of the key things, which I didn't realize with the new rules, he says, while the franchise no longer runs the risk of having its 2033 first-round pick frozen, the Celtics are limited to signing their second-round pick and a free agent to the veteran minimum exception. So right now, and they need front court depth. That's one of the things. I mean, Al Horford is a free agent. Luke Cornett is a free agent. And you traded away Porzingis. So those were your three primary bigs down that you had. So right now, to get a big to go there as a free agent, you're looking at the veteran minimum. So, and are they in contention for a championship right now as constructed? Because with Tatum hurt, I have to say no, they're not. So is a veteran who wants to win a championship going to go there for the veteran minimum? Someone key who's going to help them. Now, maybe an Al Horford will give them a discount, or Luke Cornett. Maybe they'll give them the discount. But any others, that leaves me wondering, I don't know.
That's why I said it's going to be the Jaylen Brown show.
Yeah, and that's where I was going, Pat, because that's exactly what you were saying, that it's all about Jaylen Brown and maybe White, what's his name, Derek White.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
that's the one too.
You know, Pritchard will probably step up and give you a little bit more, but really, you don't have much of anything. You know, from my understanding, they're still going to try and trade Simmons. You know, I've read a couple of things that they're looking to possibly move on from him, but, you know, nothing guaranteed. But if you keep him, okay, there's some offensive play there. But really,
well, you got holidays gone, so like, what you doing here? You know what I mean? That's
exactly. So that's what I'm looking at. It's like, wow. I mean, first of all, learning that, you know, you can freeze your first round picks down the road. That's something new that I didn't even know with the new tax penalty. So it's like, whoa, the Celtics are really in a bind, especially with Tatum hurt.
They are. But last thing I want to touch on, man, before we get out of here, fellas, is the man in Milwaukee, the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is the prize, even though he's not a free agent. You know, trade rumors are rampant. You know, talking about Giannis possibly going to the Knicks, possibly the Heat, possibly. I personally, to be honest with you, unpopular opinion, if I was the Pacers and I could package the man we just talked about a minute ago, Miles Turner, and something else to go along with that for Giannis, yeah. But Giannis and this Bucks team is going to have a lot to say about how the Eastern Conference is going to go down next year. Because if he changes teams, instantly that team is elevated. But if he stays in Milwaukee, we can't ignore the Bucks, even if Dame Lillard is out and they bringing back Bobby Portis, as we mentioned earlier. So again, we can't ignore them. But what happens with Giannis, y'all? What do you think happens? And what would you do if you were, I'll say you can come from the team perspective or Giannis's perspective. You know, would you ask out? if you were Giannis, and if you were the Bucks, would you just go ahead and just kind of tear it down? Because it really hasn't been working for them. This pairing with Doc Rivers and Dame Lillard. But go ahead.
And Giannis, I don't know, man. Because to be honest with you, with these new rules and everything, they're making it where, you know, the money is going to be kind of scarce. You're not going to be able to sign all these high-profile players on one team anymore. And so that kind of hurts them in that aspect. And with all the things that's happening over there in the East, you know, if they get a couple of good role players out there, even if Dame Lillard is out, like you said, they can make some noise. I think the best thing Giannis needs to do is just get focused. Get healthy, get focused. If you're going to stay in Milwaukee, go there and be the Greek freak and dominate. You know what I'm saying? You got a chance to make some noise over there in the East. Do I think they get a championship? No, but heck, the Knicks, you know, the Knicks are the Knicks. They don't have a coach. The Celtics are going to be a shell of themselves this year. Halliburton just got hurt for the Pacers. I mean, Detroit is very young. The Cavaliers, they got some issues. I don't know, man. You know, these things there, they get some good guard play to go over there with them. They can make some noise, man. So I don't know. I think the best thing Giannis needs to do is just get in the lab, get ready to play the season, and let the chips fall as they may. If the Bucks decide to move on from them, they get a good deal, so be it. And if they decide that, hey, Giannis, we can't do this without you, we need you here, go out there and dunk on people. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually, you know, the East is not as strong.
It's
you
not.
know, as we thought they were going to be. You know, so then with all these injuries, man, shoot, just get focused and go out there and play some ball and steal you another championship, maybe. Who knows?
And you could get Dame Lillard back.
Yeah.
He's not going to be done for the season, as far as I know. So if you get him back, you know, towards mid-season, towards the end of the season, going into the playoffs, a fresh Dame Lillard, you know, may not be 100%, but it could give you that moral boost, you know. And I'm sure he would, him at 75% would definitely be something, you know, the Bucks could work with. They do have a couple key pieces. I mean, Brook Lopez, you want to see what they do with that too. He's been a staple there for a while. You brought back Portis Jr., but again, like you say, add a couple pieces, you might be all right. But coach, man, what's your thoughts, man, on this Giannis situation? And should the Knicks make a move for him?
I think he's going to stay in Milwaukee. He's too loyal of a person, and that's where he's going to stay. And you know, that's where I think his heart is. As far as your last statement, as far as the Knicks, and I know there's many Knicks fans who want him. And don't get me wrong, if you could get Giannis on the Knicks, of course I would want him. But you'd have to tear down the team to get him. You know, you don't have draft picks. You don't have many young, talented players on the roster. So what are you going to do? You're going to literally, to be honest with you, think about this. You'd have to give up 2 starters just to get this one man in. And then what are you going to do with the other players? And probably one of those starters is going to be Carl Anthony Towns. I'm sorry.
Him and Bridges. Those going to be the 2.
Yeah.
And if I'm Milwaukee, I don't want Bridges. I would want Anunoby. And that would be my concern.
Me too. Yeah.
That would be my concern. Because you could probably get away with Anunoby, Giannis, and Brunson, then that's a different story. But if I'm Milwaukee, if that was the case, and you know that's the only way I can make a move to go to the Knicks, I'd want Towns and Anunoby, and you know that other draft pick that the Knicks have. and maybe one of the young players in like Kolik or Dadiak or Hot Porty, who's the other big guy, young development player. So personally speaking, right now, you'd have to tear this team down, and then what do you have left? Is it then a championship contending team with really 3 key players? I'm sorry, I can't see you've gone through you've seen teams. Look at Phoenix. What Phoenix did with a quote unquote big 3. No. For me, it's just it's too costly. Sorry, go ahead.
You know what's cold about that? What you just said, Coach? Because you're right. Because think about this: if they gave up Cat Towns and Bridges and or Anunoby, whichever one, I don't care. But if Cat Towns is in that deal and you send that to Milwaukee, if Dame Lillard comes back, they might beat you.
Yeah, they might beat you. You get them OG and Cat Towns and let Dame Lillard come back and with the piece they have there.
They got Bobby Portis Jr. They got all these other role players in there.
They might actually outbeat you.
And you don't have a coach. Doc Rivers, but he has won before.
Look, you'll have a coach by then. So let's cut that part.
Bro.
That part I'm not even going to get into all that. But
and then
look,
again,
the bottom line is
you haven't been able to get.
I've never wanted any of the coaches that. To be honest with you, listen to me. I'm saying the 5 people that the Knicks asked about. I'm like, hell no, I don't want none of them, including Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd with the Nets, what did he do? Bounce and run. Still didn't do it. He did an okay job with y'all. Went to Milwaukee with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and still did it. Pat, you're down there with the Mavericks. Your thoughts on Jason Kidd as a head coach?
I think he's just a coach. I miss my guy that's over there with the Pacers, Rick Carlisle.
That's my point.
I miss him.
You're asking all these guys, Billy Donovan? You fired Tibbs to go ask about Billy Donovan? Come on, man.
That hasn't got the Bulls to where Tibbs got them, and that's the guy they fired Tibbs for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you, man. That coaching issue, it's an issue.
The main point was we were talking about Giannis. You'd have to tear this team down and look. And I get all the big Knicks fans. Yeah, we want Giannis, and you want to know what? You want Giannis, but what are you going to do to the roster to get Giannis?
You have to give up Cat Towns, OG Anunoby, probably Deuce McBride.
Thank you. Thank you.
A couple of future first round picks,
Ain't
like
got
2030, 2031.
We got them.
No, I'm talking about like 2030, 2031.
No, the Nets have them. They have one tradable first round pick right now until after the ones the Nets have and the pick swaps.
We got them shit.
But I'm saying y'all gave up first round picks all the way at 2030.
We got them shit.
Hell no, for Miles
I think they got them to the 31. If I'm not mistaken, it's up to 31.
My god.
That's my point. That's why the trade for Bridges had to lift them to that point. And if they got to the finals, most Knicks fans would have been all right. But
I said it. I was called a hater, but I'm not a hater. I just know basketball. I know that dude was not. He was not that dude, bro.
Not for
not for what you gave.
But the Knicks had to give up 5 just to get him because it's you guys. It's the Nets. Let's be real. If it was anyone else, I don't think they would have given up 5.
No, because they went about it the wrong way. Everybody know they wanted the Villanova cats. They went about it the wrong way.
They did. They was on some culture shit. But then now you fuck up the culture because you got rid of the coach now. That's how crazy they are.
And then those guys turned on the coach. But
exactly.
That's a whole nother story, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. But any last thoughts, man, or anybody that we didn't talk about, any team that we didn't talk about, man, that we need to keep an eye on out going forward here. Free agency, man, the tampering period, I believe, is Tuesday. So we're going to, do our coverage right here on the ABSN network. But talk to me about anybody.
Forgot about that man right there. You forgot about that man right there. No, stop.
And but yeah, what's your thoughts, man? Any thoughts, man? Moving forward.
No, I
Van
talked
Vliet,
about
Van Vliet's re-signed too, but
yeah, he resigned. The thing I'm just looking, like I said, one of the free agents I'm looking forward towards to see where he goes is Alexander. Let's see if he goes to a contending team or up and coming team that looks to contend. Let's see if he goes out there to Houston, or see if he goes out there to the Magic, or to any of those teams that's trying to on the come up. And man, Houston, I don't know if you did a great thing bringing over Kevin Durant. I think he's another one of those players that he just can't win if he's driving the car, man. But it is what it is. But there's some guys like Clint Capella, Lopez, Miles Turner. You'll see where these guys go. I think Miles Turner returns back to the Pacers, and I even think Lopez returns back to the Bucks. So a lot of these guys, you're gonna just get a lot of returns, and you're gonna see a couple of key guys out there that can, maybe change something. Chris Paul's gonna go hunting for a ring, and like he trying to go. So they might get rid of Austin Reeves and bring over their Chris Paul. They have 3 ball dominant dudes out there with the league. That would be so stupid. But it is what it is, man. But there's some guys, Brogdon, Tim Hardaway Jr., D'Lo. And some guys, Steven Adams, Big Al, some guys out there that could come and change a couple of things for you, man. But we'll see. Oh my God, Ben Simmons was on there. Jeez.
Anyway, Coach, I pretend like I didn't hear that. But what's your final thoughts, man, on this as we move forward to this NBA free agency period?
Just one player I'm going to really keep an eye out for is from Orlando, Mo Wagner. They didn't pick him up, pick up his option, so he's a free agent. So, I'm just interested to see, what he does. I'm not saying he's a barn burner. He's not his brother, but, he's going to be an interesting piece as a big man, so a banger. So, that's about it.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. But definitely appreciate this, man. Definitely appreciate y'all tapping in with us right here on the new podcast, the new debut of NBA, or I should say Heat Check. You know what I'm saying? Heat Check, man, because, hey, man, it's going to be some teams that's going to get burnt with some of these free agents, man. Some teams that's going to get burnt. And there's some teams that's going to go out there and light it up, man. Hopefully somebody can catch fire, So, but that is it, man. That's all I got, man. Stay tuned, man. Right here on the ABSN network, man, as we continue the coverage of NBA free agency. I'll be dropping some videos. I'm sure Pat will be dropping some videos as news starts to trickle out, man. Some trades will be happening. So definitely want to keep it locked right here on the ABSN network. And until you see us again, we are your friends, man. Peace.